personal branding, how to show up online and in person. And before we get started, let me just introduce myself to you. Some of you don't know me. Again, my name is Cricket Crockett, and I'm a certified leadership and life coach. I officially launched my coaching business in 2020 after I wrote a book. After I wrote a book and became a best-selling author. I was a part of an anthology, actually, so I didn't write the whole book, but I do share a little bit about my story in my chapter. My chapter is called Totem Poles, and the reason why it is called Totem Poles is because, we often say, refer to totem poles as our priorities. And for me, as Shannon sort of alluded to on her time when she shared, I was nowhere on my totem pole. I was not taking care of myself, and I sort of crashed. And so through that experience, I decided to start coaching separately than where I was coaching professionally at the time, and I really started working on me. And so now I speak about the power of pushing pause. What I call the crash was a massive pause in my life, and it was so good, and I learned so much. And now I implement that with other high achieving, highly driven entrepreneurial women. When we're doing so much and we're also, frazzled trying to get it all done, we just need to remember to push pause. And that's when the clarity comes in. That's when direction comes in. But sometimes we're just burning our candle at both ends, and we just need a little help, right? And that's where me as a coach can come in and help you identify areas of needing to push pause, help you to learn the power of setting boundaries. And I talk about 4 areas of pushing pause. So that's a little bit about me. And now I'm going to dive in. Surely that intro gave you plenty of time to get that PDF in your hand and get a pen or get some paper to take notes. And let's get started here. Okay, so first of all, I want to just define personal brand. A personal brand is a unique combination of your personality, your skills, your experiences that make up who you are. It's how you present yourself to the world. Effective personal branding will differentiate you from the competition. So I know a lot of us ladies in this group are coaches and authors and speakers. We are kind of on our own, right? We're not under any kind of corporate job or anything. So branding for us, if you're an entrepreneurial, is really, really important. It will set you apart. It's who you are. It's what you stand for. It's the values that you embrace. It lets people know, okay, I'm drawn to her because of this or that. It's the way that you express your values. Just as a company's brand helps to communicate its value to customers and stand out from the competition, a personal brand does the same thing, but just for individuals. Helping to communicate a unique identity and a clear value to your clients is key. So personal branding is basically one story. So the biggest piece of advice I can suggest to you, and it was given to me, so I can't own it, but I'm going to pass it on gladly, is to brand you. You are the one thing that will never change, but your business and how you evolve in that business very well will change, right? But you won't. So for example, my website is not, that I'm a coach or whatever. It's cricketcrockett.com. So I've branded me. So that way, if I evolve professionally, right, and I start coaching in another entity or another way, or I decide to spend more time writing books, I don't have to, redo my website and say, now I'm an author, or, now I'm a business coach or whatever, because the brand is Cricket Crockett. So your personal brand will change as your career changes, as you decide where your niche is, and that very well may change as your story changes, as your life changes, as you grow. So there's countless reasons to create a brand, especially as an entrepreneur like we are. When you build your brand and make a name for yourself, you'll attract more clients, better opportunities, better prospects for higher paying clients. if you decide to go into, say, e-commerce field by creating products, then you'll want them to recognize you by that brand identity. So if you're following along on your PDF, branding is more than colors, logos, and taglines. So as you can see from my PDF, I'm a big fan of sort of continuity, right? Everything on there is the same font. I've got my logo on there. I've got my face on there, so you know who I am, what I look like. I've got my contact information on there. All my colors on there line up with my logo. While all that is branding, branding is so much more than that. It's about being authentic, intentional, credible. You want people to know, like, and trust you. That is the goal, and it starts with personal branding. You don't want to copy the competition, right? But you want to definitely analyze the competition. Look and see what's working for some people that are doing the same thing you are. What's working? What do you like? What do you not like? That kind of analyzation can be really helpful for you as you are defining your personal brand. So I give you a little stair-step graphic on there. It's basically the short story of branding, right? Discover who you are, and then it tells you how, like, expertise, value, target audience, create your identity, image, messages, keywords, and then make it visible on a blog, social media, networking. So that's the short story. But now I want to just go a little deeper and give you 5 suggestions to create a strong and effective personal brand. Again, I'm no expert at this, and I'm still learning this too, ladies. So, so these things I found to be incredibly helpful, and I narrowed it down to 5. But within each sort of suggestion, there's some key things in there. So I think it'll be really helpful for you to, follow along with that PDF. So I don't want to lose you. So the first suggestion I have in order for you to create a strong and effective personal brand is determine who you are. So who are you, right? What are you about? What do you like? How do you want to show up? What do you want to be known as? How do you want to be remembered? When you walk out of a crowded room, what do you want people to say about you afterwards? What needs to come to mind? And I'll give you an example. For me, a lot of what I share about, as Shannon said on her Rockstar Live about an hour ago, yes, I'm a huge, huge advocate of self-care. But I did not want to brand myself as the self-care girl. I just didn't. There's a couple of personal reasons why I didn't. What I want to brand myself as is the push pause girl. The power of pushing pause. So that is a phrase I say over and over and over again, right? Because there is so much power in that pause moment. When I'm in a networking group, I often start out explaining what I do with a question. I find that to be really powerful. So I give them an idea or a suggestion or a visualization that we can all relate to. For example, you're running out of the house and you need to find your keys. So I may say something like, when you're running out of your house and you can't find your keys, you're frantically looking everywhere. You go through your purse, you go find your jeans that you wore last night, you check your kitchen counter, you check your junk drawer, and the more you look, the more frantic you get, and the more stressed you get because now you're going to be late, and then you stop. You take a breath, you may close your eyes, and then all of a sudden, ding, it hits you. That's the power of pushing pause. That's the moment when clarity comes in, when we stop our racing thoughts and we truly think, and that's when clarity comes in. So that's what was really important to me as I was branding myself. I wanted to be known as the girl, the push pause girl. So for example, when I'm at a networking group, I want them to say, there's Cricket Crockett. She's that girl who talks about pause. She's that girl that talks about the power of pushing pause. So who you are is more than a reflection of just who you are today. It's a roadmap of where you want to go. What are your passions? What are your core values? Have you ever taken the time to actually write down your core values? What drains you? Like, who do you know you don't want to work with? And why you? Why should clients pick you? What makes you different? Why are you the expert in this brand? What makes you the best professional for your audience? If you need help in defining this, because I know it can be a daunting experience, I would ask people, ask your clients. If you have some, ask trusted friends. You can create a group on Facebook and literally use it as a focus group. That's what I did a couple years ago and put, about 50 people in there that I, knew, and they knew me, but from different places. Some knew me from, my professional past. Some knew me as friends. Some knew me as family, right? Some were current clients. And I just began to rattle off a bunch of questions in there to get their feedback. I made it really fun, but they didn't realize I was really getting some crucial feedback to help me create my brand. So the biggest thing about that one is to be authentic. Like I said earlier, don't copycat, be you, but you certainly can look at what other people are doing and use that as a guide. Say, hey, I like the way she did this, or I don't like that. And that's okay. So moving on to number 2, consider your audience and research it. So who do you want to reach? Who do you want to work with? What kind of client do you want to draw in? Who do you want to attract? You've probably heard that phrase, your vibe attracts your tribe. Well, it's true. So how you are showing up, whether you're doing it intentionally or not, it's attracting a certain type of person, right? So if you want, say, high-paying clients, who are professionals, well, then you need to be showing up in professional networking groups, whether it's in person or virtually. You want to be dressed to the nines, makeup on, whatever. But if you want to attract like the girl next door, then maybe it's okay just to be in a t-shirt, whatever you want your brand to be. But your brand needs to be on purpose, and it needs, because people are watching and people are thinking, and they're thinking about you, whether you know it or not. So be intentional with your brand, craft it, and craft it around your story, because you'll better understand the type of story you need to tell because was your story. As I said, I, worked really hard for 15 years in a different career that included coaching, but I reached a point of true burnout. And so I can talk to, with authenticity and with experience and wisdom, I can speak to the power of pushing pause because I've been there. So what's in your story that you can use to attract who you want to work with? Make that a part of your brand. As an expert in your field, you want to help everyone, right? Because that's just who we are. But the problem with that is when you try to be everything to everyone, you end up being nothing to no one, right? So bad branding is bad for business. So be intentional. Also, pick your niche and define it carefully. So at the last page, I believe it is on that PDF, I give you a great graphic, and we'll get there in a little bit. But that's a great graphic to show you the difference between an audience and a niche. So if you think about a funnel, right? And your audience is up here at the top, and it's just a lot, maybe it's all women, right? And then as you get more defined down here, you'll have a very specific type of woman, right? That's your niche. Who can you help the most? What age group? What job do they have? Be as specific as you can. Just to say, I help people with their fears is way too broad, right? What people? What fears? How do you help? If you say something like, I help teens who are afraid of dogs. Okay, you're telling me who and you're telling me what. So that's a niche, right? That's a very specific age group and they're a very specific fear. Who are the leaders and experts in your field? Well, I've said this already, but follow them. Go online and find out, what are they doing? Do they have blogs? And I can't wait for you to listen to Melanie share about the importance of blogging on Friday, I think it is. But do the people that you really want to role model after, do they have blogs? What's their website look like? Do they have a freebie that they're giving away? Look for what people who are successful, look what they're doing, examine it, and, and see what you can do, see what you can craft that's authentic to you, but using what seems to be working. And if there's anything I've learned about this, it's so much trial and error. And ladies, let me just be honest, that's irritating to me because I want like a book of rules. I want like a book of, this is what you do. But that doesn't exist. So a lot of this is trial and error. So, all right, moving on to number 3, grow your online presence using netiquette. So kind of like etiquette, but it's netiquette. That's what's going in that blank there. Keep your audience and your brand in mind all the time and choose platforms that are appropriate for your audience. So for example, if you cannot stand Twitter and you don't know how to use it, don't use it, right? Like use what works for you and use where your audience is, right? So quick example, and we're going to go into this a little bit in a second. Instagram, for example, is a younger demographic. So if you don't want to coach, for example, millennials, or don't bother with Instagram. I'm saying, I don't mean don't do it at all. I'm just saying don't let that be your focus for social media. So let's talk about videos first. Before we go and talk about different platforms, let's talk about videos. So videos are a great way to grow your online presence with netiquette. So I would say all under the umbrella of netiquette. When you're doing videos, there's several things you need to do. I really want to suggest to you. First of all, use proper tools. Headphones, a mic, a camera, strong Wi-Fi, a good signal. You don't want to freeze up or buffer or whatever. You can use a website called speedtest.net, and that'll actually tell you what your Wi-Fi speed is at. You want to use title language that makes your video seem imperative. It makes them want to stop scrolling, right, and watch you. Keep it professional, though. Watch what you're saying, watch your language. You're not talking to your BFF, right? You're trying to get paying clients in with this. So watch what you're talking about. Watch how you're talking. Check your angle for sure. Limit distractions. So, for example, I've seen women go do a live to their customer group, and there's all kinds of chaos going on behind them, and it's so distracting for the viewer. Well, they're used to the chaos in their house, right? So they may not even like recognize it as they're doing their live. But for me as an audience member, I'm like, what in the world is her dog doing? It's distracting. So limit your distractions as much as you can. Like get rid of noise, get rid of chaotic backgrounds. Definitely find your sweet spot with length. That's really important. People don't want to listen to you talk on a live forever and ever and ever, but there is a little bit of a lag. So if you're only on for like a short video, that's probably something that's best on Instagram, for example. As I said, watch your angle, right? So your camera angle, it's really important. So I'll let you in on a little secret that I do. So when you put your laptop on the table in front of you, oftentimes the angle is coming from this direction. And I don't care if you're a size 0, that's not a flattering angle, right? So you want to get your laptop or your camera up so it's at equal to your eye, your vision, your line of vision. That will really help to give you a flattering angle. Also, the other thing I don't think some people pay attention to that I would like to suggest is your angle. A lot of times I see people go live, they're trying to be professional, but we're looking at their ceiling fan the whole time, so the angle's a little bit like this. Oh goodness, ladies, that just drives me nuts because I'm like getting dizzy watching their ceiling fan, and really I want to listen to them, right? So that is something I definitely want to recommend that you pay attention to. It's easy to not, quite honestly. It's easy to forget, but maybe just put a Post-it note before you go live to remind you to, check out those things. You want to make sure your lives are informative, your videos are informative, not a sales pitch. You want to share info. You want to draw them in. So if it's sell, they're not going to be interested. Keep your audience engaged, which can be tricky. Keep them engaged, ask them questions, get them to comment. Even if you can't read the comments until you're done, and that's okay. Keep your camera steady. Look at the camera when you're speaking. And you want to speak directly to your followers. For example, if you see somebody is on your live, give them a shout out, let them know, I see you and I'm thankful that you're here. Dress the part. Ask questions right off the bat. Even if you're waiting for that little bit of a lag to pass, you can ask questions like, hey, while everybody's getting on and while you guys are sharing the video, how's the weather where you are? So as soon as you get them on and engaging, then that notification is going to go ding, 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 ding to other people as well. A great way to go live is beforehand, promote your live and build excitement. Hey, I've got something awesome to share with you in 5 days. That way you're kind of ensuring your audience is going to be there. You can use your Facebook insights and then engage with comments after the fact. Don't try to keep up, right? Try not to ramble. I know it's hard. Be creative, have fun. Use your brand in your videos. If your brand is to be fun and silly or whatever, be fun and silly on your lives or on your videos. That's okay. There's some great tools you can use for broadcasting. If you don't want to just do a regular video like I am today, you can actually broadcast through some tools like Ecamm, that's ECAMM, StreamYard, or OBS Studio. Facebook Live replays are always in lower quality than the live, so you really want to encourage them to get on the live if they can. YouTube and LinkedIn lives give much better quality, just FYI. So keep your brand in mind. Now, let's move on to postings. Be respectful, right? And this is something that seems to be a dying art these days, especially on social media. But you set yourself apart, right? Be respectful in all your posts. Do not use all caps. That looks like yelling to people, right? So remember, the tone is elusive. Writing is forever. Don't write anything online that you wouldn't want to see on the front page of, People magazine or whatever you read. If you hesitate or have a slight feeling that you maybe shouldn't have said that, delete it. It's okay. Or maybe you're frustrated and you just type out this big old rant, right? Before you post, just get it out of your system and then delete it. Just like you can't, unring a bell, things that are published on the internet cannot easily be erased. So be smart about that. Email is easily forwarded. So I'm not just talking about social media. Email is the same thing. You have no idea the blessings that God's going to bring into your business. So be smart now, knowing that He's going to take you to incredible heights later, and you don't want anything to come back to haunt you, right? So another suggestion with your postings is to save time as much as you can. Plan ahead. There's all kinds of posting tools that you can use. Facebook Business Suite or Creator Studio, where you can plan out your social media posts. For example, I have mine done for the next 2-3 weeks, and that feels so good that I don't have to wake up in the morning and go, what the heck am I going to post today, right? That also helps me to be consistent and post around the same time every day. There's also Hootsuite, Social Champ, Postlanes, but each social media platform is different, so don't do a mass post. Why? Why don't we want to do a mass post? Well, first of all, there's different audiences on different channels. So you want to keep that in mind. They're on at different times and they're different people. You want to avoid content fatigue. Your brand might also have some of the same followers on, say, like Instagram as it does on Facebook. So if you just post the same thing everywhere, it's a good start. And to be honest, that's where I am right now. I'm posting the same thing on Facebook as I am on Instagram, but I'll go in and tweak my Instagram my Instagram post to look a little different. It's the same graphic, but the words may be a little bit different. For example, and this is another reason why you don't want to do a mass post, is it may look unprofessional. Pictures that you upload to Instagram immediately go into a square, whereas on Facebook, they can be rectangular, right? So if you're just posting it in both places and not paying attention, then the dimensions may be off, the ratio might be off. If they're videos, the video length may be different, and it may end up cutting you off. Or, and this is where I was going to go a second ago, hashtags. If people see hashtags on Facebook, they're like, Why are hashtags here? It's okay to do a couple of hashtags on Facebook, but hashtags are really predominantly an Instagram thing. And you want to do as many hashtags as you can, and the limit is 30 on Instagram. On Facebook, maybe keep it to 2, 3, 4, 5, something like that. Really short and simple. So lastly about posting, just not to beat a dead horse, but let frustration breathe. Be careful, even on your personal status. People are watching. You never know who may be considering hiring you. So it's a really volatile time right now in our culture. So just be careful. Would you say this to the person's face? Would I want this person's family to read this? Am I putting the reader in an awkward position? Just a couple of questions you can ask yourself before you post. So, all right, so let's go and talk about some platforms really quickly. I'm not going to go into a whole lot of detail, but there's a couple of demographics I want to share for each that I think is going to be really helpful as you're considering your personal brand. So first off is LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a strong professional networking platform. Everyone is selling, everyone wants to be hired, and everyone is hiring. That's how it feels, at least on LinkedIn. So you can be as salesy as you want to on LinkedIn. 65 plus million users are on LinkedIn. It's a great place for promoting your business content. It's a great place for networking with total strangers, right? I'll give you an example. I am connected with a man that I don't even know, but he's a leadership coach. Well, I am also a leadership coach. So that's how we got connected. And I like to watch his content and vice versa. Well, he reached out to me through Messenger on LinkedIn and asked me, he said, I just wrote a book and I was hoping that you'd be willing to go purchase the Kindle version. It was like $1.50 and take a look at it and then write me a review. And I replied and I said, I'll do you one better. I've written a book as well. How about I buy your book, you buy mine? So that's what we did. I bought the hard copy of his book for whatever, $12, and he bought mine. And even though mine is called The Mom and Me, he bought it and actually sent it to his niece. And then we both wrote reviews for each other. Then he came back 2, 3 days later and said, my wife and I do a leadership podcast. Would you be a co-host? Absolutely. Absolutely. So that's one way that you can, really promote yourself and promote what you do with other people, because they're looking for the same thing. So therefore you can network with total strangers and it's completely normal. There's no entertainment or online shopping on LinkedIn. So it's like really just cut to the chase. It's great for home business and freelancers. And just some demographics so you know, 29% men, 24% female, and mostly in the age group of 30 to 49. So is that your demographic, 30 to 49? Then you may want to be on LinkedIn. Let's move to Twitter. All right, so for me personally, I have a Twitter account. I can't figure out Twitter. I'm like, nothing makes me feel more old than social media. I can't figure out, right? So I don't use it. I have an account and it just sits there. But that's my choice. And that's why I used Twitter earlier when we were talking. And because it's like, okay, I'm not a twit, I don't tweet. But if it's your jam, then you should totally use it. Ads are up to 3% more successful on Twitter than they are on Facebook. It's easy to engage your followers and influencers. A con is there's a lot of noise to compete with. It requires multiple tweets a day. It drives traffic, but not necessarily sales. And you're limited also to 280 characters, but it can be powerful for brand awareness. Demographics are men and women, mostly between the ages, and this is a broad range, 18 to 49. So that's your info on Twitter. Moving on now to Instagram, nearly 2 billion with a B, users, and it's quickly growing. So Instagram was recently purchased by Facebook, and so now it is growing. It's based mostly on visual posts. It started out just as social media to share pictures, but it's definitely grown into a social media platform that can really attract an audience and drive sales. So again, it's mostly based on visual posts. That's what people see as they're scrolling through. They have to actually click to read your text. So make sure that your posts on Instagram catch their eye, they're visually appealing, they say, stop scrolling now and read this. Your target audience, as I said earlier, is younger than other platforms, but it has a very strong e-commerce. I know for one, like my husband, he is a shopper. And so I'll say, oh, that's cool. Where'd you get that? Instagram, Instagram, Instagram. Whereas me personally, I don't shop on Instagram, but people do. So if you're selling a product, that may be the platform that you want to choose, or at least one of them. It requires an aggressive posting schedule though. And you want to be really, really consistent with that. Followers does not equal engagement. So that's a con. You may say, oh my gosh, she's got so many followers, but when you look at her picture, it's got 2 likes, right? So building engagement on Instagram, I'll be honest, for me is tricky, and it's something I'm still learning. You can have a business account on Instagram and it's free. So you don't have to pay more for a business account. It is 25 to 34-year-olds for your demographic. That represents the largest advertising audience on Instagram. It's followed closely by the 18 to 24-year-old age group, which encourages followers. And your biggest thing when you're on Instagram is you want people to like, save, and share. The more likes, but not just likes, saves and shares to like their story, the more you will show up in other people's feeds. So that's really important. All right, moving on to Facebook, something we all clearly know about since we're all on it right now. It's over 2.5 billion active users every day. That's almost a third of the world's population. More than 65 million businesses are on Facebook. It's a great place to find your target audience and interact with them. Once you've caught their attention, you can use text, images, videos, live videos, stories. Ads, I will say, cost a lot of money to be effective. So, if you're not in a place where you can spend that amount, I would say don't waste your time and effort. But they can be targeted to your exact audience, men, women, age group, and whatnot, even where they live in the country. A con to Facebook, they can suspend your account if they don't like what you're saying, or if, even if you've, let's say you've closed out, you've left a lot of groups lately, just old groups. Facebook sees that as a red flag and they can put you in Facebook jail, and you pretty much don't have any way to get out of it. You just have to wait. The demographics are men and women, ages 18 to 65. So again, a wide range. And you want to definitely engage your followers to post words, multiple words. So when you're posting engagement posts, post things that are going to get a lot of words. YouTube is the original video-based platform. So now their competition is Instagram, Snapchat, and TikTok. There's over 2 billion monthly users. It's the go-to place for people to get entertainment and learn how to do new things. So you can create your own channel. You can gain subscribers, videos, drive conversation. They see the real you, right? Because you're on video and you can't, rewind. So they get to see the real you, and that's a good thing. They get to see your brand come across. That's really a helpful platform. If you're a speaker or a podcaster, you want to make sure your videos have good audio, good lighting. You can also advertise on YouTube to increase your platform. It has a broad age demographic and similar rules as Facebook Live. And then the last one I want to talk to you about just briefly is TikTok. TikTok is a growing platform. I mean, it is leaps and bounds. TikTok is fun, easy, and quick. 60-second videos. That's it. They're easy to edit. They're easy to add captions. They're easy to add music. It's really, really a fun and playful, casual platform, but it is growing leaps and bounds in the area of professionalism. So I see a lot of people using TikToks. So I reached out because I know that engagement on social media can be tricky. I reached out to Mona Giordano, whom you may know, and what she says about engagement is this: content is key. Your images, your headlines, your descriptions must be scroll stopping. Like I said, people are scrolling, you want to get their attention. Video is going to outperform anything as far as getting engagement. She says, I recommend doing live videos as well as uploading pre-recorded videos to YouTube and Instagram TV or Reels so you can build all three channels at the same time. Stories, stories, stories. Doing 3 to 10 stories a day is not too much. This way it keeps you in front of your followers so they can see that first, and it will create sort of that FOMO, right? They won't want to miss out on what you have going on next. Also, mix up your content buckets with combinations of posts that are entertaining, educational, humorous, motivational, inspirational, and so forth. Yeah, you want to make sure that your brand is, although it's specific, it's diverse as well. So don't just always be very serious. Shake it up a little bit. Be sure to prompt engagement by using the Q&A feature on your business page that Facebook introduced, as well as polls and questions to drive engagement. So there you go, from the expert herself. All right, number 4, your brand is in person or offline too. This is really important. Your brand is more than just an online persona. It's how you carry yourself in the home, in the office, on your daily commute. Remember those? How you dress the part, act the part. So you want to make sure that you're communicating your brand in everything you do, on and offline. You are a walking billboard, or you should be. You are free advertising. So how are you going to choose to advertise what you do? When somebody comes up to you and they say, so what do you do? What is your answer? Do you start to ramble on and, oh my gosh, I don't know? Do you start to give them sort of a commercial, if you will? My advice would be come up with a one-liner, one sentence that explains what you do or what you offer in such a way that you capture them, the most people's attention at one time. Memorize this verbatim and open with it and use it as much as possible in your marketing. So in that one-liner, I want to share 3 parts to your one-liner. Identify your customer's problem. It's not about me, it's about them, right? So be specific, make sure it's a pain point so that they can relate and make it brief. For example, most businesses struggle to talk about what they offer. There you go. Obviously, that's not enough on its own, right? So number 2, explain your plan to help them. This is the solution part of your one-liner. Mention your product and how it's different from anything else on the market. Make it feel like a new idea. Make it understandable and brief. Here's what I offer to fix the problem. So let's go back to our example. Most businesses struggle to talk about what they offer. We have a process that helps them clarify their message. Okay? So it's getting better. And here's part 3, the successful ending to their story. Make it the controlling idea of your business. Make it something they want and make it brief. Everything's about make it brief, right? So here's our example in its entirety, the one-liner, all 3 parts. Ready? Drum roll. Most businesses struggle to talk about what they offer. We have a process that helps them clarify their message, so their company begins growing again. There you go. Here's another example for a pet store, right? Pet owners are concerned about what their pets are really eating. So we source our food from trusted local vendors, which ensures your pet stays happy and healthy. Another way that you can show up in person well to create your brand is to prepare an elevator pitch. This is a slightly antiquated idea, but it really works. It works great for networking, but you also want to make sure that you have an interview version. So if you are a coach, let's say, and you're interviewing for a position for a company, you want to make sure you have sort of an interview version. You also want to make sure you have a cocktail version. This is like your very casual version, very similar to the one-liner we just discussed. When you're talking about your elevator pitch, make it concise, make it make sense, tell a story, ask a question. As I told you earlier, I usually start out with a question so that I can grab their attention. Keep in mind, ladies, it's not an info commercial. So you don't want to come across as this used car salesman. We're slashing prices. That can be a lot for people. Keep your elevator pitch focused on a few key points that you want to emphasize so you can incorporate your one-liner for sure. It's who you are, who you help, and why. What kind of value can you add? And again, make it about your client. So how are you different? What will they miss if they don't choose you? So here's a piece of advice I want to share with you, and it's a suggestion. when you're in conversation with somebody. Listen more than you talk. And I know that's easier said than done, but this is how you know what questions to ask them. You don't have to come in loud and proud about this is who I am and this is my title and this is what I do, right? You can just sit back, listen, look for cues and clues, and just hear what they have to say and ask questions along the way. This will draw them to you because they will be interested and they'll want to hear more. Think about it as that movie in the 80s, Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come. Build rapport. So always focus on know, like, and trust. They say it takes 15 touch points for people to know, like, and trust you fully if you're in a new audience, right? So 15. So make sure that you make those 15 count. Number 5, and this is a brief one, create structure or systems in your brand to help you remain clear, consistent, on topic, and avoid oversharing. Leave them a reason to want more from you and therefore to reach out to you. So you can do this by using a content calendar, or you can even structure your week in a way that, say, Monday is social media Monday, and all you do is set up your social media for the week or for the month or whatever. Your goal with content needs to be at least 90 days. And then after that, you just want to repurpose that content, right? You don't have to reinvent the wheel every day. Get a solid 90 days worth of content. And then when that 90 days is up, reinvent it, flip it up, change the verbiage or change the colors in your graphic or whatever the case may be. No matter your brand, be professional. Be yourself, but remember, your goal is to attract others, and it's your job to define who those others are, right? So if you want to attract a specific niche, which you should, consider who they are and what would have them draw near to you. Couple other suggestions: have a professional headshot. This is really important to your brand. Now, let me rephrase that. Have a professional looking headshot, right? Like, don't just, crop your husband out of your Christmas picture by the Christmas tree. Get a good looking headshot. It's not your dog, it's not like, you see people with their hands around people, right? And then they crop them out. So then their headshot has this like random hand on their shoulder. Don't do that. Don't do that. You want to also have a professional looking logo and brand your materials, right? And when I say professional looking, I don't mean you have to go to a graphic designer and pay hundreds of dollars. I can't recommend enough Canva. It's a fantastic app to get some professional looking logos and other things like even invoices, website, PowerPoint slides. And I said websites. That's another thing. You want to make your website relevant and make it look up to date. And again, make it be about your client, not I. This is what I do. You want to share what do you need, right? Lastly, I just want to dip a little bit in the pool of story branding. And this is something I've really come to love and be interested in. If you want to know more about story branding, because we're just going to talk about the tip of the iceberg, I love, 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 and recommend Donald Miller. He's the one who sort of came up with story branding. And there's some great videos on YouTube that you can watch where he explains this in a little bit more depth. But story branding is a cohesive narrative that encompasses the facts and feelings that are created by your brand, okay? So first of all, you want to build that personal brand and remember how a story can be infused in that shows off your personality. Be active on social media. Stories spread, right? We all get touched by a story. Stories spread. They grab people. They draw them in. They interest people. Tell your story everywhere. Again, this is your story, but it's about your brand. So this is not your opportunity to verbally vomit and tell everybody all the horrible things that have happened to you, right? It's just a brief thing that you're weaving in and out of your brand that will draw people in. Then encourage your customers to tell your story. And if you have a team, encourage them as well. Encourage storytelling everywhere. Remember this, you are always on. Practice consistent messaging across all your points, offline and on. From your offline elevator pitch to your business card, to your website, to your email signature, in every social media. Be consistent. Your brand is multifaceted. Your story brand is the story it's the story you tell your audience that supports your overall message. Your personal brand is who you are. And your business brand is the brand of your entire organization. So again, if you're a coach or an author or a speaker, you may not have a business brand, right? Because my business is me. So therefore, it's my personal brand. Leverage your personal brand to build your business brand, because your business brand includes it all. So let's think about Oprah, right? Oprah branded her. We don't even have to use her last name. When I say Oprah, you know exactly who I'm talking about. She branded her. But she's told her story throughout all her different entities. We know exactly who Oprah is. Whether you're a fan or not, you know that she used to be in journalism. You know that she had a talk show. You know that she struggled with her weight. You know that she was abused as a child. You probably know also that she was raised in Mississippi, right? So we know her story, even if we don't love her, right? And then we also know her entities. Why? Because again, they're branded around her. Harpo is Oprah spelled backwards. That's her production company. O Magazine, right? Oprah Radio, Oprah's Book Club, her Angel Network, her own OWN, own network, right? So Oprah Winfrey's personal brand is being authentic and true to herself and her viewers. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. And I know it was a mouthful and I talked really fast, but I hope you enjoyed it. My biggest piece of advice to you is be intentional with your brand. You want it to get people's attention. You want to build awareness. You want to grow a reputation that's healthy, that will generate leads and sales and clients. You want to push everybody to your website so you can build that email list and boost your sales. You want to provide support and tell your story and grow affordability. These things are key. So remember I told you that on the back of that PDF was a graphic. It's a graphic that I got from Cheryl Pullins, who is a brand expert, and she's fantastic. If you don't know her, I definitely recommend that you follow her. But that's a great slide that really shows how you go from an audience all the way down to a niche. And I found it to be really helpful as I was asking her questions. Well, what's the difference between an audience and a niche, right? So I hope all of this helps. If you have any questions, I'd love to answer anything. If I'm scrolling through here, I see, love that idea, great idea. OMG, I love TikTok. I know you do, Shannon. Headshots are a must, yes. And like I said, make them professional looking. Again, they don't have to be professional. Maybe you know somebody who's a photographer. Why don't you say, hey, if you do some headshots for me, I'll give you, free coaching, or I'll give you coaching at 50% off, or whatever the case may be. And thank you, Shannon, for posting Canva. On that last page of the PDF, I put in there some recommendations. Again, Donald Miller. I put in there stuff about Cheryl Pullins. I put in there Canva. If you want to learn more about branding, whether you love Oprah or not, there's a bazillion things out there about her branding and her branding advice. So Google that. I'm so glad, Deborah, that you found this to be valuable. Before I hop off here, I do want to share a couple of things. I have a 12-week coaching program, and I would love to set up a discovery call with you. Anybody who reaches out to me and wants to set up a discovery call will go into a drawing to get a free copy of my book, so you can read a little bit more about my story and why pushing pause is crucial for you. And I also want to share with you about an event that I have coming up. One of the speakers will be Melanie, again, who's speaking later this week. It's called You Grow Girl, and it is an event. It will happen online. It is a women's conference, virtual conference. It's all structured around the idea of personal development. So it's not necessarily a professional conference as much as it is personal development. It's going to be fantastic. It's going to be first class. We are working so hard on it. I'm so excited to have Melanie's help on this. We've got speakers on the other side of the globe. We've got speakers on the other side of the United States. It's going to be fantastic. And the wonderful Cheryl Pullins, as I keep talking about, is going to be one of our keynote speakers as well. So mark your calendars, April 19th through the 21st. And we'll have more information out. If you want to stay on top of that, make sure that you're following me on social media, on Facebook and on Instagram. And you can go to my website, cricketcrockett.com, to subscribe. If you're afraid that you're on the brink of burnout and you think, you know, this 2020 was a hot mess and it's 2021 now, I need a new me, I recommend that you go to my website, cricketcrockett.com, and subscribe. You'll get a free gift, a PDF that gives you a quiz on are you in burnout? And it will also help you to define new year, new you. So thank you so much, ladies. I really appreciate it. And enjoy the rest of the summit and the rest of your day. Take care. Bye-bye.